In the grim times of the 9th century, in the harsh lands of Northumbria, a man whose fate was deeply shrouded in mystery found himself on the threshold of a horrifying, solitary, and agonizing demise. This unfortunate soul was none other than a descendant of the Danish king, a man of noble birth, yet his distinguished lineage could not save him from his fated end. His dire fate was a direct consequence of an unfulfilled, audacious vow, a promise to conquer all of England with only a couple of ships at his disposal, which in itself seemed an act of unthinkable hubris. It was this reckless boasting, this excessive pride, that led him directly into the clutches of the mighty King Aella of Northumbria. The Northumbrian ruler, intolerant of such blatant arrogance, chose a truly sophisticated torture for his captive. He ordered him thrown into a deep, dark pit teeming with venomous snakes, condemning him to a slow and agonizing death, where each reptilian bite hastened the inevitable end. This man's fate was intended to serve as a warning, a vivid example of what happens to those who dare to challenge powerful rulers and cannot back their words with deeds. While awaiting his unavoidable demise, the Danish prince composed a poem nobly recounting the glorious deeds of his tumultuous life. His legendary death song vividly describes the countless battles he fought and the valiant feats he accomplished. Lying in the snake pit, surrounded by superior forces and ultimately vanquished by his enemies, Ragnar Lothbrok concluded his poem with the defiant words, "Laughing, I shall die." However, the death song of Ragnar Lothbrok is merely a brief fragment from the history of the legendary Viking about whom it was written. This source was composed in the 12th century in Iceland, and, thus, was most likely not uttered by Ragnar himself, who lived in the 9th century CE. This poem is a vivid testament to the Vikings' profound interest in death, as it recounts Ragnar's heroic destiny. Nevertheless, the life and legend of Ragnar Lothbrok extend far beyond this famous account of his demise. Through numerous and diverse Old Norse sagas, poetry, and medieval Latin sources, one can separate historical truth from mythological layers and uncover the authentic story of history's most famous Viking. Ragnar, according to tradition, was the son of Sigurd Ring, a Danish king who features in Old Norse literature. The sagas recount that Ragnar possessed not only a handsome appearance but also a formidable warrior spirit. He showed kindness to his comrades but was merciless to his foes, truly an unparalleled warrior. The beginning of his martial career is detailed in Ragnar Lothbrok's saga, and was marked by his assistance to a Swedish jarl in overcoming a fierce dragon that inhabited those lands. To protect himself from the monster's deadly venom, Ragnar soaked his trousers in boiling tar and thoroughly sprinkled them with sand. This highly unusual method of protection helped him overcome the dragon and earned him the resonant nickname Lothbrok, meaning shaggy breeches. In gratitude for slaying the dragon, the Swedish jarl offered Ragnar the hand of his daughter, Thora. This union bore 2 sons named Eric and Agnar. In time, Thora fell ill and died prematurely. Deeply affected by this loss, Ragnar sailed on his longships to Norway, indulging in the usual Viking sea expeditions, full of raids and plunder. In Norway, Ragnar unexpectedly discovered the farm of a beautiful woman named Aslog. Aslog, it was said, was the daughter of the legendary heroes Sigurd and Brynhildr, who had entrusted her upbringing and protection to a member of Brynhildr's family for her safety. Aslog was hidden inside a large harp and traveled with her guardian, who posed as a poor harpist. One night, while stopping at the home of 2 peasants, Aslog's guardian was brutally murdered. This couple took his life because they believed that untold treasures were hidden inside the musical instrument. Soon after, they discovered Aslog and raised her as their own daughter. Captivated by her ethereal beauty, Ragnar took Aslog as his wife. This marriage produced 5 children, including Ivar the Boneless and Bjorn Ironside. Sometime after this marriage, Ragnar's companions persuaded him of the need to abandon Aslog due to her supposedly humble, peasant origins. Ragnar became betrothed to a Swedish princess, but Aslog learned of his intentions and immediately revealed her lineage to Sigurd and Brynhildr. To confirm her noble ancestry, Aslog prophesied that the next son she bore Ragnar would have a unique mark, the image of a snake in his eye. When she gave birth to this son, his eye indeed possessed a remarkable feature, and he was named Sigurd Snake in the Eye. Realizing Aslog was indeed of noble birth, Ragnar immediately broke off his engagement with the Swedish princess. His sons Eric and Agnar soon after undertook an invasion of Sweden, but fell during this campaign. The Swedish army was protected by a magical cow named Sibylla, whose potent magic caused the invading force to fall into disarray, scattering and attacking its own ranks. Upon receiving news of their defeat, A Slog led Ragnar's sons in a punitive expedition against the Swedes. Ragnar's sons avenged the deaths of their half-brothers and utterly routed the Swedish army under a Slog's leadership and command. Emboldened by this triumphant victory, Ragnar Lothbrok made a rash vow to conquer England with only 2 ships at his disposal. This ill-considered promise led him directly into captivity under King Aella of Northumbria, who ordered him thrown into a deep pit teeming with venomous snakes. Ragnar met his death at the hands of King Aella, but before his demise, he urged his sons to avenge his death. The life and legend of Ragnar Lothbrok continue to be subjects of lively debate. The most probable explanation for the numerous sources recounting his life is that Ragnar's story contained a historical kernel but was subsequently significantly distorted and embellished by legends. However, it is Ragnar's sons who hold the greatest importance in the study of medieval history, as they led the legendary Great Heathen Army, which effectively conquered a significant part of England in the years following 866 CE. Ragnar's sons assembled an invasion army of unprecedented scale. They reached the shores of England in 865 and landed in East Anglia. The King of East Anglia provided them with horses in exchange for a temporary truce. From there, their path led north, where they captured the strategically important city of York in 866. The following year, they reached Mercia and spent the winter months in Nottingham. The Mercians were forced to make an agreement with the Vikings, so they returned to East Anglia and definitively subdued the region. By the end of the 9th century, the only unconquered Anglo-Saxon kingdom remaining was Wessex. In 871, Ragnar's son Halfdan led an army in a campaign against the only kingdom the Vikings had not yet conquered. King Alfred the Great of Wessex chose to pay the Vikings to withdraw, well aware that this agreement would be short-lived and soon broken. Halfdan left Wessex to consolidate his power in the newly established kingdom in Northumbria. Thus, the task of conquering Alfred's kingdom fell to Guthrum, king of the Danelaw. In 878, Wessex became the stage for a famous battle between Guthrum's army and Alfred the Great. The Anglo-Saxons under Alfred the Great utterly defeated Guthrum's army at the Battle of Edington. However, a treaty was concluded that allowed the Vikings to retain control over a significant portion of English lands. Ragnar's sons played a crucial role in shaping the culture and spreading the influence brought by the Vikings to English lands. The campaigns of the Great Heathen Army had a profound and long-lasting impact on medieval England, echoes of which were felt for centuries. According to the sagas, Ragnar's sons exacted revenge for their father's death by conquering Northumbria and capturing King Aella, whom they reportedly subjected to a torturous execution. Such is the enduring legacy of Ragnar Lothbrok.